here I am. I wake up and I do the best I can. My eyes are white, and there's nothing left out here to hide behind. Well, not so long ago I was stumbling out there spinning around, with dumping diesel down on burning gasoline. Well, I built my life around a habit, pulling hats out of the rabbit, and doing my best with just to keep it between the strings. And it was Percocets and pawn shops, with triple beams and truck stops, with shattered glass and underhanded deals. We're getting blacked out in the bright lights and chopping lines with my buck knife. We're staring down my last breath with no fear. Things ain't the same. I had to run the crooked road to find the straight. The work's never done, and the song I sang back then can't be unsung. Well, like that night I was in Nogales, buying cocaine in the alley and making promises I knew I could never keep. Well, I snuck my way across the border. The federalist was looking for me. I dodged some bullets. Hell, I've been down on my knees. And it was Percocets and pawn shops, bar fights in parking lots, strip joints and rolled up dollar bills. With payday loans and pistols, smoking that Oklahoma crystal, the handcuffs and failure to appear. Well, since '74 I've been fighting war, trying to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to be. Well, 49 years I'm still here, the fog is gone and I'm chasing down my dreams. Now it's barbecues and iced teas. I've got 7 years of sobriety and a song or two that'll tell you where I've been. Man, I laid it down in my Savior's name. I got a peace now that I can't explain, and I wake up every day and I call Jesus my best friend.
Triple beams and truck stops. Wow, dude. That's heavy, man. Where did all that come from?
Man, I was a drug addict for 25 long years, and I think when you're in the game for that long, you see just about everything, from whether it's buying or selling drugs in a truck stop parking lot, or when I wrote that song, I was just thinking about all the stupid stuff that I had done. Whether that used to be going to the strip joints to fight the bouncers, or buying cocaine in an alley down in Mexico, and coming back across the border, but not through the port of entry. There's just lots of stupid things that go along with an addiction that long, and it just provides, looking back, cool subject matter for a song, right? Whenever you're just trying to put it out there and continue to purge that stuff out of your life. But that one was fun to write, man. Percocet was my drug of choice for years. 25 years a drug addict, 7 years sober as of yesterday. Man, you just I went to a lot of pawn shops, pawned a lot of stuff that wasn't mine and mine, and oxycodone or Percocet was my drug of choice for most of those years. So and then it fit poetically together as well when I wrote the song. So it's every word of that one's true, man. It's just a little story about some of the stupid stuff that I used to do, in the midst of my addiction.
6 years in prison?
Yeah, 6 years. 6 years out here in Arizona. I did 6 years out here and changed my entire life around. And you see a lot of stuff. And speaking of subject matter, you see a lot of stuff in prison that you never forget either. And I saw a lot of young kids come through there that were just doing a few months, and it wasn't enough time to get like the full effect and say, I don't want to come here anymore.
Outside of the obvious, I couldn't even imagine. Obviously freedom, but what was the real struggles, or the things that were just the most difficult, that made you feel your darkest place when you were there?
Man, I think the bad part about doing time is not being around your family. Like you're clearly you're paying for your crime in there, but like they're not like working you to the bone and stuff like that. Like the most challenging part for me and for a lot of guys was just, man, especially holidays. Holidays are really difficult in there, and you're thinking about what the rest of the world's doing. You're wondering, is anybody thinking about you? Is anybody going to send you a letter? They're going to throw some money on your books so that you can eat you a good Christmas meal. So saw a lot of guys in there that, and myself included. I didn't have young kids when I was in prison, but saw a lot of guys with young kids, 2, 3 years old, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 young kids, and they were missing out on like that best. That's when those relationships are kind of formed between dad and son. Is from 4 years old to 10 years old. That's a very critical moment for a dad to be a role model. And when you're sitting in prison, you're not thinking about that. And I wrote a song about it. I'll play for you next. This one's called "Lonely Lives on Both Sides," and it's basically about a guy that was going to talk to his son. His son's birthday was on Christmas. Dad was going to call him, and the yard got locked down because there was no visibility on the fence because it had snowed. And this is a true story. And I saw this guy the next day. He'd been talking about I want to talk to his kid on his birthday and on Christmas, and he didn't get to. And it just broke his heart because he'd just been to prison for a year and he had a couple more to go. So I'll play that one for you. This song always makes me feel that distance that I felt from my family in prison, and it kind of highlights the loneliness that exists on both sides of the fence, and that's what this one's called, "Lonely Lives on Both Sides." Well, Johnny says, "Mama, I miss Dad. And why is he wearing orange?" As he stares at a picture that came a week ago this morning. She said, "I miss him too, and I know this year's been rough, but we gotta stay strong for 24 more months." She said, "Dad's gonna call tomorrow around 2 to wish you a happy birthday and a Merry Christmas too." But the yard got locked down and the call never came. Another birthday and Christmas without Daddy again. And lonely lives on both sides of this snow-covered fence. Well, the holidays are closing in, and it don't really make much sense. And the Christmas lights flash red and green into a face full of tears. And the angel atop the tree stares into an empty chair. And he wakes from a nightmare. It happens quite often. And he stares at a picture of Johnny on his locker. And he turns and tells his cellie, "My boy's gonna be 5. And Never did I imagine he'd be out there doing my time. He's missed so much in my first year down, and he wonders what his boy thinks of him now. And he pictures his family were gathered round the tree, and he wonders, is there anyone out there thinking about me? And lonely lives on both sides of this snow-covered fence. Well, the holidays are closing in, and it don't really make much sense. And the Christmas lights flash red and green into a face full of tears. And the angel atop the tree stares into an empty chair. Well, Johnny says, Mama, I miss Dad. And why is he wearing orange? All right, Little Lonely lives on both sides for you. That kind of paints the picture for you, though. You know, I feel that song every time I sing it. It just takes me right back there and like seeing that pain in that dude's eyes. And I'd seen his kid before because I used to come down to visitation. So
I feel like I was there.
Yeah, well, that's
fantastic.
I think that's the goal as a songwriter, is to try to, like, without somebody trying to be there and they just listen, to just be like, to try to paint that picture where they're there and they don't have to like try to figure out where you're going or where you've been. You like pull them right into that moment with you where they can close their eyes and just feel it rather than think about it. I think we can feel things easier when we're not thinking about it and we just let them be. You know what I mean?
So did you write a lot of songs while you were there, or did you have access to music while you were there, or what did you do to pass the time for those 6 years?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, some people think that you're just twiddling your thumbs in prison. At the end of every day, I honestly wish there was more time because, you know, I chose to change my life around by getting sober and building my relationship with God and also, you know, helping other folks. And I was able to, on the first yard I was on, the church folks invited me down and opened up a closet, and there was a couple of acoustic guitars there, and I remember like just crying about it because I thought, rightfully so, I thought music was going to be stripped from me for the next 6 years, and it turns out that God provided me an opportunity right there. So once I saw that, and I saw that was a thing, I started communicating with administration to try to get them to buy some instruments and start like a music education program, because I knew that music was healing me and it could heal some other folks. So it took a while, but I convinced administration with the help of several of my friends out here to solicit a bunch of donations from folks, and we put about $20,000 into a music education program, and I taught 6 to 8 classes a week, depending on what the week was. And we used to have concerts on the yard every other week, all kinds of different music. But what it did, bigger than anything, is it gave these guys that have been in prison for 20 years, it gave them a voice and a way to express themselves. And there's so many things in prison that you can find that to express yourselves that are not positive at all, right? It's a disaster, whether that be drugs or gambling. There's more drugs in prison than there are on the street, and they're easier to get. So I figured out that, man, these guys just need a voice, because when I saw just a few of the first guys that I taught, I saw like the reaction after they were able to actually play something after like a month of like working really hard, and it changed their life. They got a sense of purpose. And I tell people all the time, touring around the United States, I go to quiet rooms and play these sad songs and tell these stories, and I tell folks that are, man, if you got a family member that's struggling, whether it's a kid or whatever, throw an instrument in their hand. They probably just ain't found their voice yet. And so I taught around 500 guys in the 6 years, and I still stay up with those guys and try to provide them a guitar on the day they get out. They've got my phone number. If they call me on the day they get out, we figure out how to get him a guitar. A cool story, I was down in Dallas not too long ago playing, and there's a guy that's a detective down in Dallas. His name's Mike, and he heard me talk about this. He said, man, the next guy that gets out, I want to buy him a guitar. A good friend of mine got out 2 weeks ago. We bought him a guitar. That guy sent the money and bought him a guitar. So it was cool for him. Like he said that he wanted, I forget exactly how he worded it, but he wanted to be the, a solution on the other end of it, rather than just the guy that puts people in jail. He also wanted to be active in like the rehabilitation. And he's a music lover and music fan, and so he believes in it. And so again, it's just a testament to music healing people on many, many different levels. So yeah, I wrote a bunch of songs in there. I should have wrote more, but I wrote about 160 songs, and I'll play for you guys the last one I wrote. I was released from prison on 2/22 of 2022. God says that's all your second chances all at once, man. Don't screw it up. There ain't no 333 of 2033 coming at you in your lifetime. I wrote this song. This is kind of just a condensed version of my life. There's folks that ask me sometimes, man, if you could play one song for people that have never heard you, what would it be? And I usually start a lot of shows with this song because I want people to know who they're listening to for the rest of the night. And this is just a true story that I wrote, the last song I wrote a couple weeks before I got out back in February of 2022. That I was just sitting there reflecting, and this is just a song, true story about my life and getting sober. And some of the stupid stuff I did when I wasn't sober, and some of the things that I'm doing now. So this one's called A Pound of Rust. This is the title track off of my last album that was released in June of 2023, A Pound of Rust. I've got some things to get off my chest, a few more words to rhyme while I still got some melody left. I've been way up high, I've been underneath, and I spent some weekends down in Key West sniffing cocaine on the beach. I burned some nights, I've burned some weed, and I've taken handfuls of pills just so I can get some sleep to quiet my mind from all this noise that tells me I ain't good enough, and all the slamming doors. Well, shedding all this old skin is hard, and I feel naked now, because the world can see my scars and where I've been, the hell I've raised again and again. I've been stuck in the mud, now I'm digging out, and my whole life's been a battleground, and I still don't know if I can turn this pound of rust to a pound of gold. Been way down south, old Mexico, and I almost OD'd in a motel room the night before a show. Woke up the next day like there was nothing wrong, and I hit every pharmacy in town till all my pesos were gone. Hell, I've pawned guitars wasn't mine, and I paid the interest back in shame, and I lost some friends along the way. I've had to fight, and I've had to bleed, and I'm putting my failures on display for the whole damn world to see. Well, shedding all this old skin is hard, and I feel naked now, 'cause the world can see my scars and where I've been, the hell I've raised again and again. I've been stuck in the mud, now I'm digging out, and my whole life's been a battleground, and I still don't know if I can turn this pound of rust to a pound of gold. Well, I've been a liar, and I've been a thief, and I drug my knuckles with the junkies. I fought them methamphetamines. I've run the streets and run from the law. I run from myself for most of my life, but I ain't running anymore. Hell, I've done some time behind prison walls. For 5 long years I fought lonely with a guitar and a song, barely made it out, still holding on. And I found forgiveness in a savior for all the things that I'd done wrong. Well, shedding all this old skin is hard, and I feel naked now, 'cause they can see through my eyes and in my heart. Are we all born to be who we are? And will they believe when I say I've changed, or turn their heads and curse my name? 'Cause they still don't know if you can turn a pound of rust to a pound of gold. Well, Lord, I'm growing old. I'm trying to turn this pound of rust to a pound of gold. Oh, a little pound of rust for you.
Very nice, man. That's deep. That tells us a lot about you. What if people want to hear more of your music and know more about your life story? How can they find you?
I got a website, just www.thejdgraham.com. Anybody that's struggling with addiction, my telephone number is right there at the bottom of my website. And unless I'm doing something like this, I'll answer my phone. Or if I'm sleeping, I do have to sleep as well, right? If you're looking for me on Instagram, it's JD Graham OK. And on Facebook, it's just JD Graham Music. But you can just type my name in there, or type a pound of rust in about any search engine, and it'll bring you up to my website and my bio. And I continue to just, I've tried to play about 175, 200 shows a year all over the United States. If you want me to come and play at your place, make sure it's quiet, or I'm not interested in coming. It's as simple as that, right? Loud rooms, a wing night at Chili's is not my thing. I've got a message to deliver to folks about the redemption that's occurred in my life, and I can only do that in quiet rooms. And I think that's why God put me through all this stuff, so that I could tell people what you can come through. Folks that know me know I was an out-of-control drug addict and a rude, inconsiderate, selfish human being. I don't have to live that way anymore, and neither do you if you're watching this and you're struggling. So, but that's where you find me, man. And hopefully you can see my tour schedule and come out to a live show and get the full story, right? As Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story, right? I just showed my age, didn't I?